This afternoon I spoke with Governor Malloy. The majority of those who died today were children. Beautiful little kids between the ages of 5 and 10 years old. They had their entire lives ahead of them. Birthdays, graduations, weddings, kids of their own.
Friends and parents say Hucksprung was passionate and dedicated, tough but caring, and one said the kids loved her.
The principal, who, God bless her, lost her life, was just a very special person, and all the parents knew that.
Wolf Blitzer, CNN, Newtown, Connecticut.
The parents of 6-year-old Jessica Oikos sat down for an interview earlier today with ABC News.
She was a ball of fire. She ruled the roost.
Our little CEO, we called her. You know, she was the boss.
1:15, asked everybody to sit down, and they said that it was a tragic day in Newtown today, and 20 children were killed. And they still didn't tell me that little girl was gone. And we just stayed in bed. Still not real that my little girl, who's so full of life and who wants a horse so badly and who's going to get cowgirl boots for Christmas, isn't coming home.
And that's what you would do, isn't it? I mean, you'd get into the child's bed and you'd remember all the things you loved about them. ABC News did a great job with that interview. We appreciate them letting us run that clip. But the emotion that you feel when you watch that story and you feel that story.
Vicky was your daughter. She was 27. There have been so many tributes to her being paid by so many people. What would you like to say?
I'd just like everyone to know that she was just a beautiful, beautiful young lady. She had such passion for teaching and for life, and especially for her family. She was extremely close to her siblings that are sitting with me and her cousins, and loved them dearly.
Carly, Vicky was your sister. You were all very close, as your mother just said. It's obviously a terrible wrench, a loss, and you must be grieving horribly. And yet at the same time, hearing the President of the United States talk about your sister as a hero, it must have been very moving to you.
It was very much. I appreciate all his kind words that he did say about my sister. She was a hero, and she still is.
What kind of person was she, Carly?
She was so caring. She put anybody else before her. She wanted the best for everyone. She just loved life, and she loved teaching.
It's like her looking down on us and letting us know that she's here with us, and she loved the Christmas holiday. She loved everything about it, the snow that comes with it. So when it started...
Looks like the family is there, and they're getting ready to make come to the microphone, so we'll listen in. Okay.
My name's Robbie Parker. My family is one of the families that lost a child yesterday in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shootings here in Connecticut.
As we have said all day, we have met people who remind us what teachers do. how much they care, even in the face of terror. And I sat down with a first grade teacher at that school, Caitlin Roick. She heard gunfire. Large windows exposed her classroom, so she managed to rush 15 small children into a tiny bathroom to try to save their lives.
I put one of my students on top of the toilet dispenser. I just knew we had to get in there.
To be quiet? Did you
yes.
worry about one of them?
No, I told them to be quiet. I told them we had to be absolutely quiet because I was just so afraid that if he did come in and then he would hear us and then he would maybe just start shooting the door. So I said, no, we just have to be absolutely quiet. And I said, there are bad guys out there now. We need to wait for the good guys. And my heart goes out to anyone who knew them and was part of their lives. I just can't imagine. One of my students would say like things like, I know karate, so it's okay, I'll lead the way out. So I said to them, I need you to know that I love you all very much and that it's going to be okay, because I thought that was the last thing they were ever going to hear. I thought we were all going to die. And I don't know if that's okay, teachers and, but I wanted them to know someone loved them, and I wanted that to be one of the last things they heard. Not the gunfire in the hallway. It's just so horrible. It's so horrible. Horrible. I said, if you're really a police officer, then you would have a way to get in here. You would have a key, or you would have gotten it from the janitor. If everything's okay now, you would have found the keys. So he had the keys, and he found the right one, and he unlocked the door, and then they brought us out to the firehouse to meet up with the rest of the teachers and students, waiting for parents to come and pick them up.
One thing that we've been doing here is really trying to keep focus on the lives that have been lost. We're not focusing on the killer because he's gone, and frankly, we don't want him to be remembered, certainly not by name. We've tried to be careful and respectful of what the families here are going through, tried not to ever intrude on their suffering. But after Sunday night's program, we got a call from the McDonald family, 7-year-old Grace McDonald's family. I spoke with Grace's parents, Chris and Lynn, at length. They told me about who Grace was, the light of their family, a little girl who loved school, and her brother Jack, a talented young artist who lived life to the fullest, made the most of every day of her far too short life. What do you want people to know about Grace?
Well, Grace had such a great spirit. She was a kind and gentle soul, and she was just the light and love of our family. She was just truly a special, special little girl that we loved, and she loved her brother so much, and she loved her school, Sandy Hook. In fact, this week I was telling somebody she had a stomach ache one day, and I said to her, why don't you stay home with Mom? And she said, no way, I have too much fun there and I don't want to miss any. We told him that Grace had two things in common with him, their love for Martha's Vineyard in Hawaii, and Grace's dream was to live on the beach and be a painter, and so we offered him one of her paintings, which he said he would treasure. So that gave us great comfort too. But really,
you heard Lynn talk about giving President Obama one of Gracie's pictures. She gave me the same picture, a Xerox copy of it. This is an owl that Grace had drawn, and President Obama said that he would cherish it, and I'm certainly going to frame this and cherish it as well.
I thought I heard some gunshots, and sometimes I hear a deer hunter shooting, and it's boom, boom. But these were very staccato shots. They were very quick. Boom, boom, boom. And I thought, how obnoxious. Why would a hunter do that? But I didn't think much of it. I really didn't. I didn't think much of it. And I walked outside right there, and I looked down here. Six children. They were sitting there. And I had no idea why they were there. And there was that school bus driver, and she said, there's been an incident. And I said, well, just come in the house. And that's how it started. And I brought him in the house. And then over the next 30 minutes, they just described what happened, little by little. And these two boys kept saying, we can't go back to school. We can't go back to school. our teacher's dead. Mrs. Soto, we don't have a teacher. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't.
We're at the location where Gene was when he first spotted the children. Gene, what did you see that morning?
I looked down and I saw 6 children, and I thought it was curious of why they're on my lawn. And I thought they were Cub Scouts or some children from the school doing a play. They were sitting in a regular fashion, and something was askew because I saw this man talking in a very loud voice to them, saying, "It's all right, it's all right." And I'm wondering, why was he talking so harshly to them? And I just kept walking, and I came and I saw them, and they were weeping, and they looked very frightened, and they almost looked out of breath, and they were just sitting right here, and they were sitting in a nice little way, like in a circle, like in a little reading group, and I couldn't imagine what happened to them. And the teacher said, the bus driver said, "There's been an incident." So I said, "Come on inside, come on inside." And we walked up my driveway, and I took them inside the house.
What did you hear them saying while they were down here?
They were just crying. They were just crying. They didn't say much. I did not know what happened. They didn't really say much about it until they got in the house. They looked mortified. They looked very fearful. And I just said, "Come on in, let's go in the house." And they followed me with the school bus driver, but they did not say what happened. I did not know. I had no idea. I had no idea.
But then, at some point, what was your priority when you got the children in the house? What did you do next?
I didn't know exactly what to do. I sat them down, and I didn't have to ask them what happened. They start talking about what happened. They start saying, the two boys were they looked like real strong boys, but they were weeping. And they kept saying, "We can't go back to the school. We can't go back to the school because we don't have a teacher." And I did not say anything. They just kept telling me the story. And then they said, "Our teacher is dead. We can't go back to the school. How can we go back? We don't have a teacher." And the two boys kept talking, and then they start talking about guns. And they said, he had a big gun and a small gun, a big gun and a small gun. And then I could not fathom what they were talking about.
Well, we are hearing new stories of strength and resilience after the tragedy in Newtown. And one man says if there is any strength to be found after this ordeal, it lies in the brave students that survived that day. Last Friday morning, Gene Rosen discovered a group of students in his driveway near the Sandy Hook Elementary School. But it was not until he brought them inside, comforting them with stuffed animals and some juice, that he learned exactly what they had just been through. He was so inspired by their perseverance in the face of such tragedy, he is sharing the lessons he learned from these young survivors and why one of his greatest hopes now is to someday see them again. Gene Rosen joins us live now from Newtown. Mr. Rosen, thank you so much for being here. God bless you for the help you provided those young children in such a traumatic moment. Take us through it if you would. You walk outside of your door, you're about to go and get some breakfast, and what did you see at the end of the driveway?
I saw 6 children at the end of the driveway, and I saw a man speaking kind of harshly to them in a loud voice, saying, "It's going to be all right, it's going to be all right." And I thought it was a skit or a play, or some Cub Scouts were rehearsing. They were sitting in a very orderly way, and I had no clue that anything had happened. When I started getting closer to them, I could see the distress and the fear and the disorder they had just witnessed. They seemed out of breath, and there was a school bus driver with them. And I said, "Come on inside, come on inside." And they just followed me.
How did you first learn, and it was 4 little girls and 2 little boys, that they had just run literally from Victoria Soto's classroom, a teacher who was killed in front of them?
I didn't learn about it till around 15 minutes or 20 minutes into their stay at my house. I brought down my grandson's stuffed animals, and they played with them. They didn't say very much. I brought them some juice, and then they seemed to be calmer, and we went to a different room. And then it all started unfolding, and it started this way. This boy said, "We can't go back. We can't go back to the school. We can't go back. We don't have a teacher. We can't go back." And they kept repeating that. I could not fathom what they were saying. I could not take it in what they were saying. And then one of them said, "Our teacher is dead. We can't go back. Mrs. Soto is dead." And I think one of the girls said there was blood in her mouth and she fell down. And then somehow they escaped. And Megan, I don't know the details of their escape. I don't know how they escaped. But they must have run some portion of the road that is next to the firehouse and were picked up by a school bus driver. And I don't know how they escaped. There was a respite from the terror, and one of the boys, who must be a very assertive, clever, direct boy, he said, he changed his composure and he put up his hand and he said, "Just saying, your house is very small." And I wanted to hold him, and I thought at that moment he had just brought us out of hell for just a moment, and I'll never forget that.